Hey everyone, I have been wanting to make this video for such a long time now because it would have mean that I have finally seen a film that I've been anticipating for such a long time, and that is Beau is Afraid, the new film from horror mastermind Ari Aster. So remember to hit that subscribe button and let's talk about what will arguably be the most divisive film of the year. As we all know, Ari Aster has directed both Hereditary and Midsummer. The former, to me, is the standard for which I compare all horror films. Hereditary is my absolute favorite in the entire genre and is one of the greatest directorial debuts that I have ever seen, hands down. He followed that up with Midsummer, which is a film I have only ever seen once, which was when I saw it in the theater when it initially released. And to this day, I still remember so many details because the film is just that impressive. Before I go into my opinion for Beau is Afraid, let's quickly talk about who this film is actually for because I do not want to set you astray here. There will be one camp going, "Ah, yes, a fine work of art from auteur Ari Aster," and then the other camp going, "None of this made sense, and it was like the dumbest movie ever. Oh my god." The film has that divisiveness to it, and I can understand where both sides are coming from because I was wavering between both throughout this film. Now, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the way that different audiences approach films. Sure, it can be a shame where someone will absolutely rag on a film that you are super passionate about. As someone who loves A24 films, that has happened many, many times in so many film going experiences. And, it is the same vice versa. If you are a film Twitter slash letterbox person who knows what A24 horror is and understands that what certain films present, you can't take everything at face value. You need to look deeper. You'll probably enjoy this film and could potentially be very passionate about it. If you are not someone like that, and I mean absolutely no disrespect here when I say this, if you aren't willing or aren't interested in seeing a film that has a lot going on under the surface, I would bet every single thing that I own that you'll hate this movie with a passion, and you probably think that anyone who enjoys this film is pretentious. I know that because that was pretty much the reaction I got from the audience in my screening. Not many people turned up to it in the first place, and the ones who did must have been expecting something different because I had someone pretty much laughing at this movie the whole way through, and not during the scenes where the film wants you to laugh either. Now, my opinion of Beau is Afraid wavered quite a lot throughout this entire film, and even now I'm still juggling some thoughts. I initially wasn't really on board with this film. I was ready to come to you today and say, look, this is Ari Aster's first miss, and that would have been an extremely painful conversation because I love his films. I knew this had a lot more to it than what it was presenting at face value, and I wasn't necessarily bored with this 3 hour movie. In fact, I was quite engaged with it. I just wasn't sure if I was interested in what this film had to say until the third act, when things start to click into place a little more. But it wasn't until the car ride home with my fiance and talking about this film more with her did I like this movie a lot more than I initially thought. See, I'm not some crazy movie genius. I will never claim that. I have a passion for film and I enjoy watching challenging films, even if I cannot grip everything that it has to say throughout the runtime. In some of them, sure, I can follow them fine, and then in some others, I'm questioning things a little more. I can pick up on key themes and understand that there is more to a film than meets the eye for something like Beau is Afraid, for example. But my fiance, man, she can pick apart points from the jump and start explaining things, and she's usually right 9 times out of 10. And with her talking about those smaller points and combining that with the themes that I was already thinking when I was watching this film, a lot of it just started to click, and I was really, really just upping my opinion of this movie. Beau is Afraid to me is an exploration of many things during this character's odyssey. It is a deeply layered character study which goes through anxiety in a very interesting way. You know, when you have anxiety or you're living with anxiety, you play out the worst possible scenarios in your head for something that might not actually be that daunting, and this film brings that to the forefront in very interesting ways. It also covers the lethargy that a lot of people have at times to giving their parents the time they deserve, while also going into the overbearing and overprotective nature that some parents have that kind of hurt their child's development, making them damaged as they get older. This film wants to explore that and put both through these insane scenarios that you sometimes need to take literally, and then sometimes you need to take it figuratively. And after giving it that time it needs, it is just so impressive in my eyes. I think technically it's really hard to say if this is Ari Aster's most ambitious film, because Midsummer is incredibly ambitious, and so is Hereditary in its more confined nature. But you can definitely tell that this is his most expensive, with some of the best use of production design that you will see all year. Huge set pieces, and even scenes that utilize different styles of animation. It's all very impressive, and are probably the parts to this that will get praised across the board. Then we have the performances, which I really enjoyed watching. Joaquin Phoenix is obviously brilliant. He's great in everything he's in. He is just so good at transforming into these wacky characters, and he just does that here in a very kind of gentle way. I was also really, really loving the performance from Patti LuPone. Her scenes were captivating, and my favorite parts to this movie had her in it. Now, with all of this good in the film that I'm mentioning, and even after having that discussion that lifted my opinion of this movie quite a bit, there are still elements to this that make me think that this is still Ari Aster's weakest film. Firstly, this film took a long time to find its footing in my eyes. I want to rewatch this, but honestly, that first 30 minutes at least were a bit tough for me personally to get through. Secondly, I think you really need to manage your expectations when going into this film. Beau is Afraid is mainly a black comedy that has a little bit of horror elements sprinkled in the film, not the other way around. Aster is known as a horror filmmaker, but with this, it is nowhere near as scary as his previous films, and it's not really going for that either. However, even with some of the comedic moments that it's intentionally going for, some of them just did not work for me at all. Some of it is really lowbrow, and in a film that wants you to take it seriously at times, those moments feel very, very jarring. I won't spoil them, but you'll know them when you see them. I think overall it's really hard to go into detail for this film without spoiling stuff, and I think the film is better enjoyed blind. So I'm going to do my best to do that for you. For a 3-hour film, it does an excellent job of keeping you engaged and not making you feel irritated at how long it is. It's interesting, and above all, I really have to praise Ari Aster for just trying to do something unique and special. Whether he pulled it off as something special, that is up to your interpretation, but you cannot deny the effort he made to do that. To me, I'm very hesitant to score this film because I'm still not 100% sure as to where I stand with it, but right now it's around that 3.5 to 4 out of 5 range to me. I'll be kind and give this a 4 out of 5 because I would be interested in rewatching this with a lot more context and placing some of those smaller details that I didn't quite pick up on this first watch. As I said, my recommendation is based off your general taste in films, but if you like the kind of wacky, weird A24 brand of films, then you really do have something to look forward to here. Anyway, those are my general thoughts towards Beau is Afraid. I would really love to hear what you guys have to say about this film in the comments below. Try not to spoil anything, but I really want to know where you stand on this film, and I look forward to continuing the discussion because I am just so fascinated with this film right now. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.